Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be looking at what I think that the most fair redistricting map would look like, and what Congress really should look like, because gerrymandering is an awful thing, and today I'm trying to paint at least a decent picture of what a fair Congress would look like. So first of all, let's define fair for a second. Now, there are three things that I went for when I made these maps, and they are essentially compactness, communities of interest, and of course, proportionality. So compactness obviously is the easiest one to talk about. Uh, you know, you don't want to have any crazy looking districts because 99% of the time those districts are going to be gerrymanders. We've seen some pretty intense gerrymanders where we have snake districts, or districts that just run along certain precincts and look like a snake, or maybe a really not compact district, just a district that is like an S, or the my favorite, not my favorite, but the most memorable gerrymander potentially is the I'll show you to right now, is the fidget spinner district in Nevada, where as you can see, this district looked kind of like a fidget spinner. I know this isn't 2017, and I know that that joke is not funny anymore, but I'm going to remember it. Just nearby Arizona, this is a terrible district right here. And then California, you can see California. There are some weird districts in California, and yeah, some of these districts are pretty bad. Communities of interest are important. You don't want to pack cities into one district. You also don't want to crack cities. If we have a city that's big enough to essentially house one district, you probably shouldn't be cracking it. There are a few circumstances where you can be cracking districts, but you usually should try to not crack districts. And the last one is proportionality. Now, I was a little bad with this. There were 3 states that I messed up with the Voting Rights Act, where I had districts I didn't have enough majority minority districts. And to be completely transparent, I am a supporter of the Voting Rights Act. I am in favor of making states have majority minority districts, but I did violate the VRA. So a couple of these states would not be legal maps. However, that being said, they're fair, and I think they still do a good job. So we're going to take a look at these states and say, what should be happening. So right now, starting in alphabetical order. Right now, the current map of Alabama, there are 7 congressional districts, one of which is represented by a Democrat. It's the voting rights. It's the VRA district. That's basically just the rural South that stretches up to Montgomery. It's a gerrymander. The district, the idea of a majority black district in Alabama is not a gerrymander, but this district is clearly a pack. It stretches down here, grabs the more black areas in the central part of the state, then just grabs most of inner city Birmingham to make a Democratic pack. Now, what I did here was, just zoom in on Alabama, I drew 2 Democratic districts. One that, this district doesn't look perfect. It does actually grab Mobile, and this is because I think Mobile and these more rural black areas have a lot in common. They're kind of socially conservative, older black voters that still vote Democrat, but might be conservative at heart. That create around a D plus 10 or 11 district that is majority minority. And then you also have, I believe, this district, which is, I think this is almost, I think it might be plurality minority or plurality black, but I'm not entirely sure. This district, though, would be a competitive district that essentially includes all of Shelby County, which I think is Montgomery, and grabs a few more Republican areas up here. Then you have a semi-competitive district in this place, in this region of Alabama. Most of it's pretty red, except you have Montgomery and a couple rural black counties that make the district competitive. Then up here you have a Huntsville-based district, just Huntsville experts, and just rural Alabama in this rural district, and the southern district that I'm not super proud of, but does its job. So the Democrats have a net gain of 1 seat in Alabama because, as you'd expect, Alabama very gerrymandered to be to fit the Republicans. Alaska, only 1 seat there, can't do anything with that. Arizona, I did draw a 5-4 map. And it's, some of these district lines are a little weird. I do think that the map could easily go 6-3 because most of these districts are trending blue, especially the competitive ones, especially this North Phoenix district that would probably, in 2024, Joe Biden runs going to probably flip. So this map could easily go 6-3 for the Democrats, but it did not, using 2012-2018 composite data. Kirsten Sinema would have narrowly lost. She would have lost it by under a point in 2018. So this is almost a 6-3 map, definitely a 5-4 map. Then you have the Native American reservations up here being in this district, while not packing the ones over here. I did make a map on Twitter, and I posted it on Twitter, and I said, here's my map of Arizona, and it essentially was, the main complaint was that it packed Native Americans into one district. This, however, keeps them together, most of them together in this district, but has a few of them here. So this is a pretty good map of Arizona. Nice and fair. No gains here. Arkansas, it's ideally Arkansas would have one safe blue district and one competitive district that leans Republican, but you cannot do that without it looking terrible. So instead, I just drew a plurality. I believe a 46% black district right here that would be leaning Democrat. Includes Little Rock and the Delta counties, which are majority black counties that lean Democrat or Democratic. I don't know why I put why did I put the emphasis on Democrat? Yeah, okay, my bad. Yeah. So now going over to the state of California, 44-8 is essentially the map I drew, and I made basically no change to the current map. I just shuffled around a few precincts to fit population deviation. Yeah, and there's really no change here. It's still VRA compliant because the map is basically similar to the one now, which obviously is legal. So I'm pretty happy, me being a Californian, good on California for not really drawing a gerrymander. Colorado is currently a 4-3 map. They're gaining a seat, so the Democrats just gain a seat here, and you draw a 5-3 map of Colorado. I'm not super proud of the way that this map looks. It is kind of, some of these districts look a little awkward, especially this district right here, but it does keep communities of interest together, and it does actually not right. It actually, this is basically just all of Denver, so it actually doesn't really split too many cities or any cities of interest. So yeah, a 5-3 map for Colorado. I think I could have made it look better in retrospect. I made this map about a month ago because, beginning of the alphabet started with Alabama, ended with Wyoming, or not really. I actually didn't draw a map of Wyoming. I just ended with Wisconsin technically. But yeah, now going over to Delaware, one district there, can't do anything with that. Florida is currently a 16-11 map, and I drew I think a 13-15 map. Yeah, so Florida gained a seat. And yeah, so there is one minor error in this Tampa area. For those of you who've ever tried to draw a map of Florida on this website, the precincts are atrocious in the Tampa area. There are like 30 or so precincts that just are literally across the. It'll be like you're like, okay, I want to fill this precinct right here. It'll go all the way over here and just split the precinct. It's really a nightmare. Which is why I dread redistricting Florida. Like, my progress was, I had all the map done except for Florida and California. California because it lags my computer because it's so big, in Florida just because of how bad the precincts are. So there's a minor error here. There's this precinct doesn't even have anyone, so it doesn't even affect population deviation. But Tampa Bay area, not great. But yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of the way this turned out. The one thing I was debating was whether I should axe the majority black district that kind of runs across here from the black parts of Jacksonville to the black-dominated parts of Tallahassee and creates a VRA seat. I axed it because it is technically a gerrymander, because it's really a snake district that is designed by the Republican Party to pack black voters in that area into one district while making it VRA compliant. So I axed it, although it's not one of my. It wasn't really an easy call because I do think that black voters in Northern Florida should have a district that they are represented in, but they still have a pretty good say in this district, which is what made me comfortable with it, as well as I think they'd make up 40% of the electorate in this district as well, both these districts being competitive. So, if black voters had really good turnout one year, they could flip both the districts to their party of choice. You have some Orlando-based districts. I think this is actually a St. Augustine-based district out here, potentially maybe Titusville, I'm not sure, and then a competitive suburban Orlando district that would probably be trending toward the Democrats, but there are some seats in Miami-Dade that would be trending away from Democrats, especially the seat right here, which is lean D, but would definitely have been a Trump district. So yeah, this overall map is basically 15-13 in favor of the Republican Party, maybe 16-12, depending on how good the Republicans do in a year. Georgia's a 6-8 map. I think I actually posted this on Instagram, which I do follow me on Instagram, by the way. My handle is at UEP_YouTube, UEP YouTube. I post maps there before you, so you get special access. Unlike Florida, I actually did keep a kind of weird looking VRA seat. I kept the one in southern Georgia because there is a good enough black population so you don't have to make a snake district. Florida just runs kind of like this. You can look it up. Actually, I can show you. I don't know why I'm drawing it out. It kind of runs along here. Whereas Georgia, you just kind of have a chunk of the state that is just down here, and I did that. I made some minor changes. I think I made it a little more competitive, and made fewer county splits, but it's still overall a pretty solid VRA district. So yeah, Then you have a Savannah-based competitive district that leans Republican. You have I believe, in Augusta or Columbus. I always get the two mixed up, but this is definitely, I think this is an Augusta-based district that stretches over to Macomb County, which is where Athens is, to make a competitive Democratic-leaning district. 4 majority black districts in the Atlanta area. Then you have one over here, so that's 5 majority minority seats. I think this one also, this Cobb County-based district might also be majority minority, but I'm not sure. And then you have a suburban seat that will be trending towards Democrats. So, yeah, it's a pretty solid 8-6 map. I'm pretty proud of what I did for Georgia here. And I think that this is a pretty cool map that I really wish they would draw, but they're going to draw a Republican gerrymander. Hawaii 2-0. You could not make a competitive district if you tried. I once tried to make a seat that Trump got 40%, or that Trump got 40% of the vote in 2016. I think the best you can get is like a 34% Trump district in Hawaii. Very safe blue state. Idaho 2-0 there. I mean, I can show you what I did for Idaho, but it's not really anything of interest. I just put Boise in this district pretty much, and that gives it all its people. Illinois. Let's talk about Illinois. So Illinois is I made this map like I was actually kind of wondering because DRA released 2020 data for Illinois a day after I made the map. So because I was using some composite data set. So but the districts are basically the same. And in the spreadsheet, I do account for it. This map is actually a 12-5 map, but Biden would have lost this district right here. So competitive, I think Trump would have carried it by like under a point. So super competitive district here that would have been 11-6 in the 2020 environment. Plus, these district downstate would be safe Republican. They would not be, likely, I guess, according to DRA. But on the other hand, the Chicago suburbs over here would be super bluer than you'd on this map. So yeah, 11-6 map in Illinois, pretty proportional. Indiana. So Indiana's really hard to redistrict because ideally you draw three or four Democratic districts out of the 9 that they have, but you cannot draw more than 3. Or you can't even draw 3 districts without it looking really weird. So I just decided, for the sake of not permanently scarring everyone who's going to watch this video, I just solidified Democratic seats to compensate for it, then made the most competitive district that I could make down here. It goes from Evansville to, I think, Vigo County, which does still have some Democratic areas. This district would be trending red, so it would be safe in a couple election cycles. But like if the Democrats ran a conservative who ran a good campaign, they could flip the district. But still, really, Indiana didn't really have time to work with, so Democrats just get 2 safe seats instead of 1. This is likely in the past. Iowa is a really weird map because it's technically 4-0, but the data set I use factors in a Chuck Grassley one, which just skews it, so it overestimates the Republican by like 5 points on average. Joe Biden definitely would have carried this district in the 2020 election. I think Hillary Clinton actually might have carried 2. I'm not sure. So it's basically a 1-3 map for the GOP. Maybe 2-2. It's probably 2-2 actually, considering congressional Democrats always overperform Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. So I think these 2 seats will be Democratic leaning, especially when you have Cindy Axne in the 3rd district. She'd probably win re-election here. The Democrats probably pick up this seat, and then this seat will be competitive. So basically a 2-2 map in Iowa, which I think is pretty good. Kentucky, or actually Kansas, I like what I did for Kansas. I drew basically the seat is likely, but Therese David's A overperforms, B the seat is trending blue anyway, so it would basically be safe by the end of the decade, be like D plus 25 or D plus 30, maybe even. Then you have a suburban seat over here that would be flipping towards that would be trending towards the Democrats, probably flip in 2024, depending on who they ran. So, I think Kansas potentially could be a 2-2 map by the end of the decade. Right now, 3-1. And definitely an improvement from their current map. I mean, this is clearly right here. This is definitely a Republican gerrymander, what they did. Kentucky, the geography of Kentucky is really bad for Democrats. Like, it's very hard to draw even 2 seats for them out of 6, and you cannot draw 3 without using 2019 governor data, which is basically cheating. So I just drew them a safe seat in Louisville, and then gave them, or Louisville, if I want to pronounce it correctly, and then I gave them an ultra competitive seat that they would probably pick up basically in Lexington and some other Democratic areas. And I think Andy Bashir would have won this district by like 16, and I think that Jim Gray in his 2016 Senate one run would have created the district by 7. So it's still a really competitive district. The Democrats could probably win, but it was the best I could do for Kentucky. Though ideally it would be a 2-4 map, but 1-5 for the sake of argument. Louisiana, not much to talk about here. The Democrats pick up a district. I'm actually not proud of how it looks like you can actually make a better looking 2-4 map that solidifies districts for Democrats, but this is what I did. It's not great, although I think that this district is plurality black, and that this district is majority black as well. Maine 2-0, currently 1-1 in this in this simulation, but I do think Jared Gold would probably win the seat anyways. I mean, he lives in like he won in a Trump plus 8 district. He'd probably win. This is like what, probably Trump plus 5 or 6 district anyways. Maryland 7-1 is current makeup, so the Republicans actually gain a seat in Maryland, without it looking terrible. The Democrats have 4 safe seats. They'd probably win the seat anyway, so basically 5 states safe seats, 1 competitive seat, and then the Republicans have a safe seat out here pretty much, and then a competitive seat. So a 6-2 map in Maryland. I like that map a lot, but definitely an improvement from their terrible congressional lines right now. I can't zoom in, but it's just a really bad map right now. Going over to Massachusetts, you cannot draw a Republican district in Massachusetts without it looking really bad. So I just kept my redistricting prediction there to save time and because it looked good. 7-6 map in Michigan, nothing really changed here. You do have kind of a Grand Rapids, Kent County-based district that would be trending blue, and that would be, I think the Democrats would win it for the most part. Then you have a Berrien County district kind of that the Democrats could win in the future. This district in basically Exurb and Detroit would also be trending towards them, but on the other hand, you do have this district down here would be trending away from them. So 7-6 map in Michigan. There might be a few flips for both sides, but 7-6 overall, maybe 8-5 Democrats have a good year. Minnesota 4-4. I didn't really change much. I think this is a pretty good map. You have communities of interest together. You obviously do not split the Native American reservation up here in this lake. The Iron Range is obviously kept together. Then you have a safe rural district, a safe ex-urban seat in for the Republicans. Then a semi-competitive seat kind of in the Minneapolis suburbs. Then it goes down here to the more rural south. Then for the Democrats, they have a Rochester up to Minneapolis suburbs-based district that they'd be winning by probably 10. Klobuchar would have won 7 out of these 8 districts, I believe, and she would have only lost this one by like 3. Then 3 safe Minneapolis seats for the Democrats. Mississippi is currently 1-3 map. This is a controversial one. I did draw a 2-2 map where actually I think neither of these districts are VRA compliant. I think this one's like 48% black. This one's like 45% black. So it's not a great map, but I still think it's better than what the current one is, where you just have a what I call a black pack, where you essentially the Republican Party was packing black voters into districts like they did in Alabama, which speaking on the VRA is very hard for me to do in an unbiased way, but I'll say this, it is in the Republican Party's interest to pack black voters into one district to dilute their influence because of the way they vote. I'll say that. But yeah. Now to go over to the state of Missouri, 3-6 map here. You really cannot draw a good map of Missouri. First of all, this map is not legal because when you split up St. Louis like this, it does keep counties together. All of St. Charles County is in this district. It's not terrible. The districts don't look terrible, but when you split St. Louis up like this, you split the black vote because inner city St. Louis is majority is a area dominated by black Americans, so it's very hard to draw a two Democratic seats in St. Louis with it being legal. So you essentially just have to kind of usually you have to draw one seat in St. Louis that's majority black, try to make a competitive suburban seat, then try to make milk two seats out of this area. I didn't do that. I just tried to make it as compact as possible. So I think this is a pretty good 3-6 map. Not legal, unfortunately, but still a pretty solid map. Montana is gaining a seat. So this is my controversial call for the video, and I think the Democrats do deserve a competitive district in Montana that leans towards them, because Democrats usually lose the state by 10 to 15%. That means that in theory they should be getting the Republicans should be getting a safe seat, and the Democrats should be getting a likely D seat, which I'm not even doing. And I am keeping communities of interest together. Missoula, all of Missoula in this district. I think it starts over to Bozeman and Butte. I think, and even maybe to Helena. So I think this is a pretty solid map. I know people are going to disagree with this in the comments, but Montana, I think the Democrats do deserve a seat in Montana. They're not going to get one, but they do deserve one. Nebraska 3-1 or 3-0 map right now. Then I just used the 2012 composite data. I drew a Democratic district here. Biden would have probably carried this district by 10 or 11, but over the composite D, like D plus 2, D plus 3. And then a semi-competitive Republican seat down here that they'd win by like 15. And then a safe rural seat. Then you go over to Nevada. Let's go over to the state of Nevada. Nevada, I drew a 2-2 map. I wish that I kind of flattened this out. It's a little unsatisfying to see this kind of this area go up that kind of peaks into what I think that's what is that? That's Esmeralda County. I think it kind of grabs part of that, and then it's unnecessary. And then maybe grabs what I think a bit of Nye County as well. It cracks more counties than necessary, and I think I should have, in retrospect, made it more like this instead of having go up here. But still, you still don't lose the idea of a Democratic leaning seat. This is like a D plus 10 seat. This is like a D plus 19 seat. It was basically safe. I don't know why it's likely. It should be safety. And then you have a competitive. The most competitive seat would be this seat down here. This seat would probably be trending towards Democrats in different ways. They'd be making inroads in the Henderson area and the Las Vegas suburbs, but Hispanics would be trying away from them. So this would stay competitive. Then this seat is like R plus 16. It's the only way the Democrats could even dream about winning the seat is getting insane turnout from Reno, which they're not going to get anytime soon. So basically a safe Republican seat here, basically a safe Democrat seat here, likely Democrat seat here, and then a tilt Republican seat here. I'm pretty proud of my map in Nevada. Then you go over to New Hampshire, 2-0 map. I use 2020 president data. It's very hard to draw a map of New Hampshire where you give Trump a district without it being really gerrymandered. So I did this. It doesn't split cities and it keeps communities of interest together. So I like that map. New Jersey 10-2 is the current map, although 11-1 in 2018 because the Jeff Van Drew switched from being a Democrat to a Republican. I featured this map in a recent video, but New Jersey I think would be a 9-3 map ideally. Although the Republicans would probably find a way to pick up this district up here, if I'm completely honest, maybe win this district. So maybe a 7-5 map, maybe an 8-4 map. But yeah, New Mexico currently a 2-1 map. It would stay the same. Although I do think that the Republicans generally have more in common with, because here's the thing. The Republican district the current Republican district in New Mexico just is kind of like this. It looks good geographically, but it's a gerrymander because you're kind of cracking because Hispanics kind of go kind of like this, and I want to give them a district where they'd have more influence than just cracking them kind of across this arbitrary line here. So I tried to give the Hispanic vote more power in this district, and then give the Republican Party basically the same partisanship over here. This district is a little more competitive than their current one that they have that is represented by Yvette Herrell, but she probably still win re-election here by like 5 to 6%. New York 21-8 current map, 22-6 would be the update. Although John Catt, I'll be completely honest, it's basically a 21-7 map because John Catt could definitely win this district right here. Yeah, the Republicans do get 2 seats in the NYC area. You have a Long Island-based seat that I think Peter King would win. Then you have a Staten Island-based seat that grabs a little bit of I think that's. I really don't want to say the wrong borough. I live the other end of the country, so I wish I should know New York better. But I think this is Kings. Yeah, that's Kings. I think I don't want to get that wrong because I know that there are definitely a lot of people from New York who watch my videos. Hi, New York people. I apologize if I butchered your boroughs. North Carolina 5-9 map. Currently 7-7 map. Obvious reasons. Super competitive state. I don't really change much here. You still get, I think, 4 majority minority seats in the state. So yeah, North Dakota 1 district there you can't do much. Ohio is a 12-4 map in favor of the GOP. Definitely a gerrymander. It's some of the worst maps in the country. The Democrats would gain 2 seats here. Although I do think that this seat would definitely be trending away from them. I think that actually Joe Biden would have lost the seat by like almost 10 in 2020, so they'd basically be losing the seat. Also, this is not VRA compliant because of the Columbus precincts are terrible, so this district is not contiguous, and they're also embedded. This district is embedded in this one, so it's not VRA compliant. But if I had more time on my hands, I would have made it better. Then you have a Cincinnati-based district, a Dayton-based district that's competitive, and then you have a Toledo rural area district that would be competitive as well. So overall, I'd say maybe it's 10-5 map if I were guessing. In Ohio, Oklahoma 4-1 currently. or 5-0 currently. I was thinking of Kendra Horn. She lost re-election 2020. It was 4-1 before 2020. Now it's 5-0. The GOP gained a seat. So I did draw a narrow Democratic leaning seat in Oklahoma City. I went against what I said earlier for the state, and I said I would try to crack cities as least or as I'm forgetting the word for this. I would try to pack cities as little as I could, but I had to crack Oklahoma City and kind of grab, I think, Shawnee, which is down here, to make it a Democratic district, because the Democrats should get representation in Oklahoma. They should. And if you just draw a map that's only Oklahoma County and a few Republican exurbs, you basically draw an R+10 district that really is unnecessary. Then there's a Tulsa-based district down here, I think. That would be semi-competitive, like R+15 or 16. So, yeah, then we have Oregon, 4-1 currently. Nothing much here. GOP just gains a seat. Here, South Oregon, GOP gains a seat. Pennsylvania is the 8-9 in favor of the GOP. It just switches 9-8. You get 2 Democratic-leaning Philly suburban seats, 3 majority-minority. I think 2 majority-minority seats in Philly, and then a Democratic seat here that looks like a bird, reprimanding the other district. And then this district, like here, right here, looks like a Maori statue. I'm really starting to see things. Okay, this looks like a baby. This looks like an angry bird. Not the video game, just like an angry bird. And this looks like a statue. Wow, I'm really going crazy. Yeah, that's it for Pennsylvania. I think that map's just too cursed. Rhode Island 2-0. Obviously, I tried to split. I tried not to split Providence. Is all I did there. South Carolina currently 6-1 favor the GOP. The Democrats. The geography of the state is pretty bad for Democrats, but I still was able to draw 2 seats for them. And Joe Cunningham would have definitely won the seat in 2020. I mean, he outran Joe Biden. Cunningham probably would have won the seat by like 10 or 11. Overall, like D+5, D+6 seat. Then you have like a semi-competitive district up here that would be like R+12 or 13. If Joe Cunningham were to run this district, it would probably be a toss-up. Tennessee currently 2-7 map. Tennessee, like Indiana, the geography is just too bad for Democrats. Like they're spread across, Memphis, then a little bit over here, then in Nashville, then like that some tiny pockets of them in rural parts of the state, plus Knoxville, Chattanooga. There are like I think 20,000 Democratic voters in those areas. So yeah, I just had to draw 2-7 map for the Democrats. Could not do anything at all in Tennessee. Utah 4-0 currently. Democrats just gained a seat here, basically just a safe seat. Although I bet that Joe Biden would have only lost this seat right here by like 10, and he would have won the seat by more. Because the data sets in DRA do underestimate Democrats a lot in Utah. So Utah, kind of weird map to draw in DRA because of how bad the data sets are. But basically a 3-1 map, although it could be 2-2 in like 20 years if the map didn't change. Nothing in Vermont. Virginia 7-4 is the current map. The GOP actually gains a seat here. Although that being said, like 4 of their 5 seats are really competitive. For the Democrats, they only have like 1 really competitive district, and it would be this district right here. And then the Virginia Beach area is just trending away from them, or trending away from the GOP. So it would be basically safe as well by the time that the end of the decade rolled around. Washington 7-3 map currently. I wouldn't really change much. Washington's a very nice map. I would shore up some of the incumbents, but it's really just overall what I think would a fair map would be. I think this is basically a Seattle-based district here. Seattle suburbs that are super Democratic. And then you have some suburban Oregon goes in basically this district. Suburban Portland goes into this district. This district would probably flip by the end of the decade, though. So basically an 8-2 map. If you're thinking about the future, West Virginia, currently 3 districts, but they're losing one due to losing population. So just a 2-2 map in West Virginia. You obviously safe Republican. Wisconsin currently 3-5. So Wisconsin, you might think, okay, if it's a 3-5 map, it's probably a Republican gerrymander. That's only because the geography of the state's really bad for Democrats that you have to actually turn on partisanship and actually have to actively try to draw a 4th Democratic district in the state, which I did. I did kind of cheat here. I usually try to turn off partisanship when I draw fair maps, but in this situation, I had to turn it on because I didn't want to draw another 3-5 map, which I'm sick of seeing. 3-5 maps of Wisconsin aren't terrible, but I'd rather have a 4-4 map because the state's basically dead even, D+1. So I drew a working class Democratic leaning seat over here. You kind of have La Crosse going down here to Houston-Madison suburbs, a Madison-based district that Mark Pocan would represent. Glenmore winning this seat in Milwaukee. And then I think this might actually be majority black. I'm not sure. Probably not. I think it's like 40% black, actually. Then you have a Kenosha-based seat that would be I think Joe Biden would have Joe Biden would have won all 4 of these districts. So yeah, pretty solid 4-4 map of Wisconsin. Then Wyoming, which again, its existence is very questionable, but we're just gonna roll with it for this video. So this is my fair map, guys. I'll scroll around the country while I finish up this video. So if you want to pause at any point, you should feel free. But so what you think in the comments down below. I'm gonna definitely have to drink a lot of water. Wait, I didn't talk about Texas. It just occurred to me I didn't talk about Texas. I was taking my victory lap and I didn't talk about Texas. Wow, I can't believe I already forgot that. Wow. Okay, well, now I'm wondering if there's anything else I didn't talk about. If I talk about okay, I guess I just skipped over Texas. I don't know how I did that. Texas, to be short, you have all these seats except for here. So that's 1, 2, 4 majority Hispanic seats in southern Texas. I think this one is also majority Hispanic. You have, I think maybe 2 majority black seats in Houston, 1 in Dallas, some Dallas suburbs that are bluer, and yeah. So I think this is a pretty cool map for Texas. I'm actually quite proud of it. It didn't actually take as long as I thought because the Texas precincts are so big that you can just draw a district in like a minute. So shout out to Texas for having big precincts, which is not good for real life, but good for redistricting on davesredistricting.org, which you should totally check out, by the way. I donated to Dave's Redistricting. Check out their website. Really cool. So yeah, that'll be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. This really did take me a while, and if you have any constructive criticism, I'll definitely be receptive to that. These maps are not going to be perfect. Like I said, there are a few errors, and tag me on Twitter. Show me a better map. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.